Peace. In the name of Allah, I'm Aubrey Muhammad. I pray that everyone is well. Hempstead, welcome to my update on the Carmen Place misdevelopment in Hempstead live. And I just want to thank everybody who supported us, who took a stand at the IDA against that tax break pilot. It was a vote on, let me wait a couple of minutes in case anyone else have to come in, because it's sure the last live came in a little. And if anyone have any questions, please just feel free to chime in. Well, here we go. All right. Please let me know if you can hear me, if there are any sound issues. Checking myself here. Checking the sound here, everybody. Okay. Just giving a few minutes, folks, for anyone else to come in. And if you have any questions, please feel free to chime in. I'm doing an audio check because I can't. Because I can't. I'm doing an audio check. Okay, there we go. All right. All right. Peace in the name of Allah. I'm Aubrey Muhammad. Pray that everyone is well. Hempstead, the update was that we went to the IDA board meeting for the pilot and tax break that was planned at the IDA board the other day. A 30-year pilot tax break for Carmen Place development. And it didn't go well. Unfortunately, it's a tax breaks pilot, 30 years they asked for. Their lawyer, Dan Deegan, misrepresented the scope of Carmen Place, the buildings affected, the store, the businesses affected, the actual building, and the two homes. He minimized everything, not even knowing who lives in the home, how many occupants are there. He discussed some adult clothing store, lingerie store across the street, had nothing to do with Carmen Place, but it's going to be closed down anyway when they do the construction. So for Hempstead resident IDA board members appointed by Waylon Hobbs was Lamont Johnson, Jolette Williams, Dan Oppenheimer, and it wasn't Stacy Lucas, it was Stacy Hargrave, I believe her name is. If there's any difference in the name, please correct me. Put the proper name there. I believe it was Stacy Hargrave that was there. 4 members, 4 Hempstead members of that board. Well, Lamont voted against the commercial aspect, which is all I'm going to say. It doesn't make a difference anyway. He voted for the residential, and he voted against the commercial aspect of that 30-year pilot, which I congratulate. I thanked him. Thank you, Lamont. But you voted for the residential, which makes your vote for the commercial moot. They say you voted for it, and you support the greater plan of gentrification thus far. I'm glad I had it. Let me take a moment to discuss Lamont Johnson's role in this. He's been on that board, and he's been straddling the fence for quite a long time in regards to this major gentrification project in Hempstead that I'll show you I'll update you on the map and the graph and show you the scope of it and the recent Carmen Place displacement that's going to happen immediately. Gentrification, a clear-cut case of gentrification. And Lamont has voted for many of these pilots, and he's championed pilots for apartment buildings, 20, 30-year pilots that Hempstead homeowners and small businesses have to subsidize at a tune of over 20 million a year. Over 20 million. The economic blood being sucked out of the community. And I had a discussion with Lamont, me and Catherine Gary, after the IDA meeting. And I like the discussion. I like your spirit, Lamont. And I said to you that the greatness of your father is in you, man. And I pray you live up to that. Because right now, you're just doing the will of these outsiders, Don Monte, RXR, these planners, Russian oligarchs financing all of this. You're capitulating to their will thus far. But I pray that Allah guide you to come on board, protect your people, defend our people, black people in Hempstead, and protect our community, to build our community for inner development. Many of you have given up. I've heard this over the years. They have this saying, immigrants and these outsiders have no respect for black people in America. A lot of them have a thing, many of them, many have no respect for black people in America. Many repeat the mantra that we're lazy. Black America is not lazy after building a country, building up America into a superpower for hundreds of years. We're tired of putting our trust into a system that betrays us every time. And most often, recently, during these last decades especially, it's been our own people, black faces, selling us out to exploiters and outsiders who hate us and fear our rise in unity and work behind the scenes to plant this discord. So Lamont, I would hope that you would come on in to the community and be grassroots and start looking out for our people, defending us, not waiting to things to wait till the political pressure gets on. Everybody's like that. No politicians have stood up against this gentrification, misdevelopment, the Don Monte Renaissance, and Scott Reckler at RXR, financed by a Russian oligarch in partnership with him. Imagine that, a Russian oligarch, and devitalizing and gentrifying black people in America. And America has waged economic sanctions against Russia for her treatment of the poor people of Ukraine. Some of them just Nazis, some of them. And these same Russians, the Democrats, Republicans, and Russians have all agreed that to keep black America a permanent underclass. In Hempstead is a stand your ground point. It is ground zero. All Hempstead is under the microscope. We have put light on Hempstead. This is the only thing that get politicians to pay attention, is when their political career is on the line. I'm not a politician. I'm a community activist and advocate. I'm a good brother, solid brother you can count on to be in our corner, y'all. Everybody on your side, in your circle, ain't in your corner. They're opportunists. As soon as the opportunity arises, here they are promoting issues, racism, police brutality. Whatever issue has a hot button, whatever pain point is presented in the community, in the press, in the media, and they see people moving on social media, rallying behind it. Here, these politicians and preachers who've been selling us out in Hempstead, they're coming rally to pain points. But they're not principled. They don't have any code to protect, promote, and enhance the lives of black America. We must rely on ourselves. Come on in to the grassroots and stand up for our people, brother. We're strong as a unit. Now, that was a 30-year pilot. I want you to look at this. Let me show you this. Now, this is a reversed graphic, because you know the Facebook Live and does when you do the selfie mode, it reverses your documents and you see it backwards. So, see where I'm pointing here? This is Carmen Place, right here. That point is that is Carmen Place. And the blue There are two blue dots up there that represent the two houses that are being demolished and destroyed. And this blue area here, that's the strip mall. That's businesses. You saw me do the walkthrough? Y'all see that? Right there. Mm-hmm. All of this is going to be destroyed, ripped down. I did a walkthrough and I showed you how this is going to affect small businesses, family-owned business, some of them. A lot of them Latina. Matter of fact, they all are Latina. Two houses, those are Latina indigenous people in this community being displaced further. All of this orange is Carmen Place. See that? All of that orange is Carmen Place. This is Main Street. This is a strip mall. And there's 228 luxury apartments that they claim and lie that it's affordable housing. It is not affordable housing. You need a higher income. It's not for current residents. It's not for these homeowners. They won't even insure. The lawyer, Dan Deegan, stood up at that IDA board meeting and lied, saying that he don't even know how many who live in the house. He knows the owners. All they care about is influential people, people with money, people doing business, important people. But the common person, laborer, homeowner, they hate you and they push you around. Them two homes. You saw when I walked by there the other day, people were outside on the porch. It was kind of cold too. They went inside when it got cold, but they were out there living their lives. They have, when that new apartment complex comes, they are not promised housing. Housing is not for them. That is gentrification and displacement. These stores won't be this strip mall. I showed you on the walkthrough. That strip mall right there in the blue. Those stores will not be welcome in the new retail space, the commercial space that they voted for. A 30-year pilot. That's Hempstead homeowners and small businesses paying the taxes of outside business interests for 30 years. You're subsidizing these people, sucking the economic blood out of our own community, blessing and gracing these wealthy apartment owners. These are wealthy apartment owners, wealthy businessmen, wealthy investors, wealthy developers, wealthy planners being subsidized by current homeowners, struggling homeowners. You're struggling to keep your home, but they take your property taxes and you support their luxurious plans in their future. It's called devitalization. It's been happening 20 years in Hempstead. It has displaced thousands, and hundreds have lost their home. Hundreds and hundreds of people have lost their home these last 2 decades because of devitalization. And it's very simple. You're paying other people's taxes, man. If you had to pay your neighbor's tax, you'd be pretty upset. Imagine it's tax time. Deadline is next couple of weeks, April 15th. April 14th, they're rushing you, man. Oh, but yeah, while you're paying your taxes, you got to pay 4,000 in taxes, 1,000, even 1,000 in taxes. You got to pay your neighbor's tax, 1,000. That's going to hurt you. It's going to help them, isn't it? And these are outsiders that don't contribute to the community. That's what a tax break pilot is. 30 years, they want this thing here at Carmen Place. And when they begin construction, it's going to take approximately 3 years. If they get the approval, if the homeowner agrees to, the business leases, commercial business leases, they still may have leases. If they agree to let their lease go, they may hold out for more money, hush money, displacement money. That's what it's called, displacement money. They give it to you to shut you up so you don't speak for the other people that are going to suffer from this. You know, when they do road construction, that affects your business. If it's a small business, if it's a small struggling business, they go out and they do road construction directly in front of your business, that could kill businesses. I've seen it. It's what planners do. They're going to destroy all of these businesses in Hempstead. They're starting here. This is the microcosm of the macrocosm. They're starting with this strip mall here that I showed you through the walkthrough. If you didn't see it, go see exactly. It's like 3 Spanish restaurants and a few other stores. They're going to be put out of business and they have to relocate somewhere else. They will not be welcomed back into the new development. And then when they start the construction, which will be 3 years, the traffic is going to be horrendous and the buildings next to it, all the way down to, well, this is Main Street here, all the way down to Columbia. Is that East Columbia, West Columbia? I believe. You know where the Reveille apartment is, those stores all the way to that corner. All of those business, they're going to get killed, especially on the same side of this development. Right to the corner. I pointed it out. The check cash in place across the street. And the ones on that side, that all that construction for 3 years is going to kill them businesses. And that's the plan. They kill the businesses. They take your buildings. They move you out, kill your business. They take the properties for nothing. It lowers the property values. It's vacant. Nobody's there. That's been their claim the whole time. Oh, it's Dan Deegan. Oh, lying lawyer. I never met a lawyer I trust. I can only trust him to be a lawyer. Dan Deegan minimized the humanity of these business owners and these homeowners. Oh, it's nothing. It's dilapidated. We're going to make it new. You're not making it new for them. You're making it new for the gentry, for new others to come in. Resettlers. Higher income people that look down on black people and poor people. Just like that Hempstead board that enables all of this. That is what gentrification is. You're watching it live. This is ground zero. We could draw the line. Hempstead. I watched it happen in Harlem. I was trained, accepted my own to be myself in Muhammad Mosque number 7, the historic Muhammad Mosque number 7, 127th Street in Lenox, the house that Malcolm built, Malcolm X, the magnificent Malcolm X. Many of us in 7 got that spirit, fishing, going out, getting people, speaking truth to power, New York. Well, anyway, this is, and once they start there, which they've just been enabled by those 4 Hempstead IDA board members. And the IDA is the Town of Hempstead Board for Industrial Development Agency. But it's not for us. It is misdevelopment. They have devitalized Hempstead for so many years. And they just hope that nobody says anything. It's bizarre. It's like a bizarro war, telling people about how you're being devitalized. They don't like to hear the word gentrification. They don't like to hear the word. It's not a sweet word. It's not a cozy word. It's not a comfy word. It doesn't trigger anything. It doesn't have a pain point to it. It's a little more in-depth, a little more out of reach of people until you lose your house, till your property taxes increase, till you are bankrupt, you lost your business, you move. You wonder why. I'm telling you why. Revealing to you why. This is all revealing. And the sad part, let me say this, and this hurts me the most, which take a lot to hurt me, is Hempstead homeowners are voiceless. Your civic, that country club estate, civic association, you're silent. The Ingram Estates Civic Association, if it still exists, most of the people have lost their homes. That was my base over there. From 110, 130 Jerusalem Avenue. You know, I've been knocking on your door since the late 90s, y'all. I started right at 600 Fulton. I know all those homes in between there, down to 150 Washington, back towards where the Hempstead Farms used to be. That's gentrification. That was a laundromat. That was family-owned business, the 99-cent store, the supermarket, the Dominican hair spot, Pat's Pizza, please. Pat's Hempstead Pizza. That was family-owned. They cared about the community. They were Italians. They cared more about the community in Hempstead, a black and Latino community, than most others in the community. Always looking out for people. I remember Butch they were looking out for Butch in there. Butch got hit by a cab on the corner there. We were trying to help Butch. Remember Butch that used to hang out there? And beautiful brother. And he had like a physical challenges, medical challenges and stuff. And that cab hurt him, man. He was laying there, and we were all waiting for the ambulance to come. And Hempstead police shows up with just the lights on, didn't have no sirens. The ambulance took its time. They tried to force Butch to get up from the floor. That was at the corner of Henry and Nassau Road. You know what I'm talking about, the old Hempstead Farms. Butch had a laundry bag on his bike, and the cab hit him. I'm not a medical expert, so we waiting for the ambulance. This bastard, Caucasian man, says, get up, get up, and trying to see how he can get up, and he got on to that, what it was, and he made his way. But why would you ask a man like that's hurt like that? It's a cold, numb demon to do that to our brother. We don't know medical expertise. I always taught when a person is injured in an accident, you don't touch them, don't move them. Wait for professionals to come. These professionals that come in our community. Anyway, Butch got on the ambulance. Maybe 2 weeks later, Butch passed. And Pat and Tony and the Peace of Power were holding this thing. We're helping the brother out, helping our families. That's what family business is. And Brother Donnell barbershop got this place. Well, he moved over to the school. I believe he moved over by then. But they knocked down all that for CVS. That's getting tax break too, I believe. And my point is, all of these people who have lost their homes, you have not raised your voice. You have not voiced your concern. You should be front and center. You paying these people property tax. I don't pay property taxes. You paying other people property taxes, losing all that you earn, making your life harder. You can't save anything. If you want to invest, you don't have it. You're subsidizing apartment owners, wealthy apartment owners who need to just go ahead and get the loan from the bank. But this is devitalization. This is how to keep you a permanent underclass. Black America, they want us as a permanent underclass. Caucasian numbers are dwindling in this country and around the world. Caucasian white people numbers, their population are diminishing. Guess who's increasing? Black, Spanish, Latino. We've always thrived. In our neighborhoods, you have abortion clinics. In Caucasian neighborhoods, they have fertility clinics. They have no fertility clinics in the black neighborhood. So they see the tide turning. They called it the so-called browning of America. Pat Buchanan called it the fall of the West, something like that. I think he even said the white West. The white West is dying, something like that. They have a survival instinct in them, a fear. And that fear projects them out to strike others down for fear that they're paranoid that these people will strike at them. And what's so striking? Our numbers. So how do you keep numbers down? You keep them a permanent underclass. If you're poor, it don't matter what your numbers are. So they're increasing their wealth in this country, and they're doing it through planets. And they're smart enough and clever enough not to call us names. They use our local representatives, especially your local Negro preacher. He's just selling you out. They got him. Bush did that. Bush required that in order, if you receive your 501c for your church, you couldn't have a political point of view. Most of these preachers are appointed political positions. And their silence carried over so long for them to be numb to the causes around it, unless it's pain points of a black on black shooting. They want to go hunt a black man. But meanwhile, and I got on that, Hempstead homeowners, you're very disappointing. Small business owners, you're very disappointing. You should be the clarion of this call. You should be front and center, protecting your own interests. They're going to wipe you out. They started at commonplace. This is another reverse image. Look at that image. Let me get my pointer here, y'all. You see this purple line here? This outline? This is the full footprint that's the whole downtown. That's 303 Metro Plaza there, the border of Garden City, all the way down to the U-Haul over here. I think the U-Haul's over here. Down to Bedell Terrace over here. Down towards the Home Depot, the Stop and Shop. All that's down here. think this is the Home Depot Stop and Shop around here. All that is going to be destroyed. And most of it is going to be destroyed very quickly through the construction of the major projects. They have 16 luxury apartments they plan. You will not enjoy them. There's no green space. It's the board overlay zone where they pull them right smack dab up to the sidewalk because they don't want you hanging out there. You can walk by and window shop and imagine the few of you who will be in there with your higher income, the handful of you sellouts will be in there, but they've extended it. It was 280 acres. This is an innovation zone. That's a tech development they're doing in Hempstead. This is happening in Hempstead. They expanded. It's 300 acres now. This is for like development and coding and technology. Innovation zone, they call it. All that blue. They expanded it down towards the high school. This is down towards the high school. On, what street is the high school? Prospect, y'all? All the way here towards the high school. And this whole zone is going to be all destroyed. Everything in that area, all you small businesses, all the businesses are going to be displaced. You have to stand up businesses on Main Street. That's the main vein. Coming down here, Main Street Hempstead is the main vein. It will be closed off for those apartments. It'll be walk-through only. The parking will be like Metro 303, underground. They'll have underground parking, and you will not be able to park next to those apartments. And there will be a little green, relaxed area inside, pools and all that amenities inside for the tenants. You will not enjoy any of it. All of this development, and none of it for us. You businesses have to act. All of you small business owners, you're going to lose your business. And all of you your apartment dwellers, the apartments by the Home Depot, everything, all of that is going to be made into new, and it will not be for me and you. When this new gentry comes in, they're initially going to have like 3,500 apartments. Once these people come in, and it will be mainly Caucasian professionals, it will be Asians, it will be some Russians. Imagine that Russians coming into America. It's a Russian oligarch financing this. They've done it in Harlem. They've done it in Brooklyn. It's going to be worse in Hempstead. They're going to demolish the whole thing. And all enabled by that sellout board, Waylon Hobbs. He is a zealot. Waylon Hobbs is a zealot for this. He hates poor people. He hates poor black people. He lacks the knowledge of himself. And he hates himself. And he projects it out. And he wields that tyrannical spirit in him. It's very tyrannical, it's very cowardice. When you yourself, you don't deal with people how they need to be dealt with, but you get others to do your little dirty work, your little force. That is the definition of a coward. All of this is enabled by that IDA board and that village board. The school board has been silent also. All of them. Don't you know this new gentry, when they move in those 3,500 apartments, all those families, these outsiders who are numb to your suffering, who are numb to your cause, numb to your way of life, and look down on you almost as hard as the current village board does. They're not going to go to school with your children. I brought that up with Randy, the last podcast I had, me, him, and mathematics. I said, Randy, you brought in Shimon, I believe his name was, the superintendent, a Jewish superintendent in a black Latino district. He had this master plan. He brought in his own company under like a $500,000 contract, something like that. He was paid like $250,000, I think, as a salary. They brought him in, not for us. He had this master plan. I met him at an IDA board meeting for Dell Bus Company. And he came in. I never forget it because of the comment he made. He said, I love the children, but you hate their parents. You love the children. Everybody shield themselves with noble causes. The school board, that's all you hear them say. The children, the children, the children. You're miseducating the children. You're not teaching them civics. You're not teaching them nationalism. You're not teaching them industriousness. You're not cultivating them because you lack it yourself. It's the blind leading the blind. It takes knowledge and cultivation and people who are refined in the knowledge itself in life sciences to propel and enhance lives of students. These newcomers, 3,500 units in these families, once they get into Hempstead, they're going to vote out that board. They don't want people with inferiority complexes and self-hatred ruling them, governing them. They don't want absolutely the school board. That's the first thing they're going to deal with, the school board, because they vote. You don't vote. It's like 25,000 registered voters in Hempstead. The most that comes out for an election, you're lucky to get 5,000, 6,000. That's the most I believe it ever was that ever voted in Hempstead election. Like 5,000, 6,000. Most of you lost your houses, you're gone. You're displaced from Hempstead. It used to be black Republicans back when James Garner was mayor. You love ceremonies. This is your problem, Hempstead. This party atmosphere and ceremonies. You love James Garner coming in. He started the devaluation and urbanization. It started displacing us. And a lot of those homeowners were Republicans. That's why the Republicans ain't as strong as they used to be. You dummies. You voted to displace your own selves from your community, losing your house. Now it's mainly Democrat. Democrats don't vote, but they do vote Democrat, regardless to who it is. They just vote, not by principle, they vote party allegiance. It's a pool of independent voters in Hempstead, like 2,000. It's about 2,000 independent voters who vote every which way. This last election, it was not promoted by the village. We had to put out the banner. I only put up 6 banners. They tore down 3 of my banners anyway. I only put out 6 banners. You know, the 5x7 banner. No, that's it. That's my cookbook. Oasis Natural Living there. I put up the banners and I put out flyers. My campaign budget was $1,500. I raised it with my own money. I had an issue with my EIN. The IRS delayed my EIN. For years, they wouldn't convert it. I said, come on, what is this taking so long? I kept writing them back to IRS. And then my EIN had got so red tape with them, I had to go get an LCC for Solar Hempstead. So I didn't raise any money for my campaign. So I spent my own money, $1,500, just on flyers and those 6 banners, which 3 were torn down. And the flyers, I handed them out. And some of my supporters mailed out flyers themselves and put some in certain apartments under their doors, which I truly appreciate. But the machine in Hempstead is controlled by people who have personal interest, and it's only a handful of them and their friends and families. And they support this. Some of them, but they have a saying that the devil promises only to deceive you because you've been made promises. Go along with the cause. Sell out your poor people. Displace them. They don't care. They trust you. They trust you and they trust their pastors. And the pastors are putting them to sleep. Pastor Elliott of the Union, Philip Elliott is his full name, of the Heights Church, came into the IDA board. Reginald Benjamin of the church on Greenwich came into our IDA board. They support this gentrification that displaces and destroys small businesses. Take your homes and keep you a permanent underclass for small favors. Their little friends that get favors. And then once the construction's gone, the little temporary job is gone, and you're back in a blighted area being gentrified by newcomers who are going to look down on you, snub their nose at you. You will not interact with them. You will not interact with them. Your children will not go to school with them. They have an inferior education for you. They have an education, public school education. Woodrow Wilson implemented it. He said this years ago. Woodrow Wilson was a no good man. You call him Woodrow Wilson. I call him Woodrow Wilson a no good man. He fired all the black workers in government when he became president. That bastard screamed Birth of a Nation, the first cinematic masterpiece in America. The first film, the big major film in America was Birth of a Nation, a Ku Klux Klan rallying film, promotional film, a recruiting film. He screened it in the White House. And he founded the ADL, the FBI, and the IRS in the same year. And Woodrow Wilson was rewarded for doing that. They put his face on a $100,000 bill. The ultimate sellout. And that's what you local preachers and politicians want. You want your name and recognition amongst your oppressor for having done a good job for selling out your people as everybody sleeps. You're very independent and selfish in Hempstead. We are. The survivors, those of us who have survived. Thousands of us have been displaced. My mother moved here in 1961. I grew up as a child here and watched it in the 60s and the 70s. It was beautiful in the 70s. You should see your brother Harry that just passed me. Allah be pleased with him. Rob, your family, Avery, Sharon, you have my condolences and prayers. Brother Harry was a beautiful brother, man. He had that smile and that, that chuckle and stuff. And those families, we used to go over each other's house and have good time. Safe, just all around the block. Over there, across the street from Lincoln Park. I lived at 33 East Graham when Lincoln Park was fields. And I heard Sister Ann say, oh, some scary houses over there. I don't remember that. But we could never go over there when it was a field. When they built the park, that was like my front yard. First day I ran over there was Arthur Morrison. He was in the park. Oh, Brother Arthur. May Allah be pleased with him. That's beautiful, man. He taught me how to pen. He taught me to, when you're writing a paragraph, always capitalize the first letter in the paragraph and to capitalize important words in the first word of a sentence. Arthur taught me that when I was to go over to the park from a newspaper article he had up on the billboard in the back. We've taken our families and we become individualistic. They've raised the cost of living. They've lowered our property values. This make us take on 2, 3 jobs. Everybody got to work. It's all by design to make you individualistic. So that one man can't survive. One job back in the 60s and the 70s would support a family. You could buy a house. You didn't have to have no super income. You could save up your money. Not black people, because we were doing, I was going to say the GI. A lot of the GI Bill supported military people coming back from the war, getting homes, but it denied the black people. Black GIs did not benefit from that. No government or affirmative action programs for specialized people in this nation. The Homestead Act, giving out land, we were denied. They took our land, millions of acres of land, just like they're taking it now to keep us nomadic, off balance. Raise our all black towns. That's to bust up any stability. It's to keep us destabilized so that we'll be worried about where our next paycheck is going to come from. I mean, where our next meal is going to come from. Looking at being 2 paychecks away from poverty. They've made it harder and it's been on purpose. Do you know why? Because you trust these people and we do not rely on ourselves and we don't trade with each other. Carter G. Woodson said almost not a decade ago, it was in the 40s and 50s, I believe. Carter G. Woodson, the father of so-called Negro Week that became Black History Month. He said a black child has more community value than a black college graduate. I think he said that like in the 40s and 50s. I think that was like the 40s. Carter G. Woodson said a black child has more community value than a black college graduate. That black college graduate, once you get a job, you're going to leave your community. You're a liability to the community. The black baby, it suckles mama breast milk. It stay at home. It play with its toys. It trade with the other babies. It takes its toys and it barters with the other children, trading, building up value. When you trade with each other, you build up value. Do you know in the black neighborhood in Hempstead, black dollars don't circulate one time? We don't have black banks anymore. We used to have we had a branch of the Carter Bank on Hempstead. I went in there next to the Dunkin' Donuts, next to the Genesis Barbershop, which will be torn down. Genesis Barbershop. My brother. All of that's gone. Craig spot, Woody spot on Main Street. Our brother with the Black Beauty Supply. fish market, all of that is gone. You will be relocated somewhere. You'll be looking for someone else to start your business. You ain't going to be able to start a business. They're not giving you loans to help you out. This is how it hurts you. You will be left with your deposit for your rent, and you will hope you get a viable place. They're scattering us about. It's called nomadism. It's called destabilization, devitalization. Planners have terms for this. Let me get to a question. I sure am going on. Let me see if there's any comment. I think I saw Sister Olivia down there. Oh, there's Sister Olivia, my sister. Praise you too loud. How you doing, sister? She said I moved to Hempstead, but when I visit and such, and all these developers have their eyes on the community, which is close to the city and railroad. You nailed it, sister. That's right. It's a hub and a transit center. And they've been looking at it for years, since the 80s. They have. That's right. The community is going to go to a meeting, and they just going to be told, sorry, we're giving you time to move and use it wisely. That's right. The comments is on point, Sister Olivia. Exactly. So many Spanish bodegas and such, money circulating for them and send it back to their country. That's right. They pool their resource. Did you know we used to do that? Black people came up here. When we had some money, I remember my mother. She brought my Uncle Jimmy up here. We would bring other families. We had the big black families from the South in Hempstead. That's why we were so safe and secure in the 60s and 70s in Hempstead. We would bring family members. My Uncle Chester, let him stay in a room at 33 East Grand. My Uncle Jimmy from North Carolina. And others in the community, we lifted them up when we came. Now it's a tradition, and this is sad. The black dollar in Hempstead doesn't circulate one time. It comes in our paychecks, and we spend it mostly outside of the community. Mostly outside of Hempstead, Roosevelt Field. Damn, I go there sometimes for different things. Not a lot to spend my money, the post office, and meeting people, things like that. We take our money that has been devitalized and we gift it to others without letting it circulate amongst ourselves. That's why we need a credit union. I propose we open a credit union. First for village employees and school employees and small and Hempstead resident business owners, a credit union of our money, so we can get our own loans, circulate our own money, and create our own digital currency that would give us incentive to trade with each other, because we rely so much on our corporate jobs, on that job. And the pandemic just showed you the last 2 years, they don't care nothing about you. When people died from COVID, and Allah graced their souls, them CEOs had another employee to replace them. And they didn't skip a beat. You die. They're going to collect insurance on you. Did you know that employees have insurance on you? So when you die, they collect insurance for their worker, and you get nothing. Meaning you got to go get a GoFundMe for the person that passed, but the employee, they party. That's true. CEO and billionaire wealth grew tremendously. I think it was like 47% during the pandemic the last 2 years. They profited off of that. Drug companies, Pfizer, profited heavily. All CEOs, major wealthy people, profited tremendously. All the money went right into it, consolidated with them. And the poor got poor. Many people lost their jobs, lost their businesses, lost their homes, lost mates, family members. And that cold CEO of your job told you, sorry, here's a fruit basket. We got somebody else to replace them like that. That's what they think of us. We need to barter with ourselves. And in that credit union, create a digital currency, man, that incentivize building business in the community. But once the college graduate comes up, we congratulate them. Oh, you graduated. When they leave the community and get a job somewhere else, we congratulate them right on social media. Come on Facebook, go watch. I got the job. That's all they got to say. They didn't even got to describe the job. All they got to say is, I got the job. Everybody applauds and claps. I started my business. I'm understanding you get very little fanfare. You start your business, you get very little fanfare. I'm not talking about conscious people, conscious community. I have a conscious group and stuff, conscious people, and we do applaud each other. But the regular average person, I got my master's. You spent all that money on building up student loan debt, and you're not guaranteed a job. Because when you do get the job, you see everybody celebrate. The competition is stacked against you. These people have generational wealth. We have paycheck to paycheck. And when they start business like Trump, they got loans from their family. They ain't got to go to a bank. And when they do go to the banks, they get loans based off of their collateral, or their assets. That's generational. That's how they keep it in their circle. And it's building more and more and more to where some bastard Russian oligarch, some greedy, one of Putin's pals, yes, the president of Russia, Putin's pals, he's an oligarch, ruling Russia with an iron fist, and they're ruling us. America is an oligarchy. It is not a democracy. They take that money and they invest it in where they're going to take. Don't you know that these Americans, they're going to trick these Russians? They want to take their property and land. It's all a setup, just like they did little itty bitty Kuwait. Now, I know I went off on a tangent here, but I'm talking about community value, building up the community. Who's investing? America sets up country. Little Kuwait owned a lot of America. Did you know that? In the 90s, Kuwait had injected like $1 trillion something into the American economy. They had all the treasury bonds. They owned all the properties. Little itty bitty Kuwait. Did you know that? And they sent the oil company over. Ralph Sharman spoke of this years ago. I heard this in the 90s. They sent the oil company over to little itty bitty Kuwait, and they drill with that horizontal drilling. You know, the drilling for oil, you go down straight into the ground, you hit the well, eureka, you got oil. They came up with a way to drill sideways from Kuwait over into Iraq, into the Ramallah oil field. And Kuwait started that rich, wealthy Kuwait, little itty bitty Kuwait. It was one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Now it's Dubai. They're going to take Dubai's resources next. Kuwait was sucking oil out of Ramallah oil field. The CIA told Saddam Hussein, look, Saddam, they're stealing your oil. He's like rough and tough. And April Glaspie, during the House Select Committee meeting, gave a green light to Saddam, saying they had no problem with Iraq handling that situation with Kuwait. They didn't say do it. They just said, we ain't going to do nothing about it. That was a green flag that the CIA was sending to Saddam Hussein, the president of Iraq, to invade Kuwait and take their resources. And now Kuwait had to give up all her resources for America to protect them militarily. And that's how they swiped all of Kuwait's goods. And Saddam came in, ravaged and razed everything. And when he was leaving, they bombed him. And Colin Powell had him. When Colin Powell had him on a run, well, he's a figurehead, a stooge that was fighting the war. He wanted to finish Saddam off. He had the power. They had him. They said, no, we're not going into Baghdad. Do you know why? Because they were planning on taking the oil. And they hadn't developed all those SUVs yet in America. That's right after Desert Storm. I believe that was Operation Flag or Desert Storm, whatever that was. The first initial retaliation for Iraq going into Kuwait, America had smaller cars. After that was completed, they started pumping out all these big SUVs, the Excursion, all these other ones. That's when they put all those big gas tanks on there so that they could take the gas. They're doing the same thing with Russia today. They had Russian oligarchs own China own a lot of America. Russia owns a lot of America. Russian oligarchs own certain areas of America. And these banksters are going to take all their goods. It's a trap. But that's the bigger picture. Let me get back to this picture about community value. Black people not recirculating our dollars in the community. We got to do this. We got to take a stand. There is no next time. Now is the time. You got to do it. We got to start spending our money with each other, and we can't fall into the trap where they keep taking all our land. This fool, Wayne Hall, and Waylon Hobbs is an extension of him, the same puppet, gave away 32 acres of Hempstead land to developers. They gave that land away. And now, whatever you have to do, that's what Parking Lot 8 was about. And he gave it to him for free. And so he stole it. So now, Carmen Place, Conifer, is buying that land from Don Monte, not buying it from the village, for $4 million. They lied and said the land was worthless, stagnant parking lots. And they were doing us all a favor, the mighty developers, and then revitalize us. They didn't revitalize nothing. They devitalized us. They're capitalizing off of our ignorance and poverty and fear and individualism and selfishness. That tiger fit us well. Yeah, I'm not a tiger. I don't go by that mascot. I have a lion's pride mascot of a team. Tiger, individual, sneaky, selfish animal. He powerful, but he all by himself. You're going to have to change that mascot to the Hempstead Nomads, because you will be no more, Black Hempstead. You're losing your houses at a severe rate. Your businesses, they demolishing everything. I'm showing you here. This is just a start. And once they get their foot into this whole downtown, you know this is the Garden City of Order, Main Street, Bedell Terrace down here, over to the U-Haul, coming down Fulton in front, down to Prospect School, Grove, and they're going past that towards the high school. Once they get in here, and they get on the village board and the school board, you will have no voice. You will have no voice. You will have no input. And you really don't have input now. Now we're just bickering with each other. Go watch that board. Even in news, they exacerbated the village board and the school board, how bickering they are with each other. Because you got that childlike mind, man, where we consume whatever we're fed. And we're like children. We're on the receiving end. What you going to do for me next? I want to be so pleasing to you. They devitalizing you, displacing you, gentrifying you, throwing you out your own community. But we can take a stand, because you're going to lose everything. And it will not be in the recovery. They will not compensate us. They already owe us $300 million. 20 years they have been devitalized in this community. And some of those tax breaks and pilots we've been giving them go back to Martin Luther King Drive when it was Wilco. Martin Luther King Drive apartments may get those rich, wealthy apartment owners been getting tax breaks since the 60s in Hempstead. All that adds up on the school taxes and your property taxes. We initially want $300 million to get our homes back, to get our land back to 32 acres of stolen parking lots, and to get our businesses back. The village board and the school board will have no access to those funds. They're corrupt. You can't trust them. They're the ones that are doing this dirt now. They got us in this position. That will go directly to you buying land and you getting your businesses back, starting business, an innovation center for small businesses in an industrial zone, our own factories. And we got to incorporate this into schooling. Most people, you're just letting them school you, and I hear every excuse. Oh, that's the way it is. It's the law. It's illegal for you to be black. We got to break those laws. We have to make our new law. That's what pooling your resources is. When you pool your resources, the Asians don't be worrying about no law. Jews don't be worrying about no law. They just go ahead and do what they do in their community, man. Italians don't worry about no law. They pool their resources together, and people respect it. They respect people doing business in your community. But when you're just an open market, like we are in Hempstead, we just open, anybody comes in and do what they want. Nobody respects you. They manipulate us. And they're getting away with it. And I'm taking a stand against this gentrification. That's it there. That's where they're starting. 300 acres of the whole downtown will not be the same. And you will be looking at it just, and they give you a microcosm of the strip mall they're destroying and the two homes for Carmen Place. Look at you. What's your relationship with Metro 303? I know a sister that live in there. Jeffrey Daniels lived in there, one of the village board trustees. Most of them are Chinese students. I know some of them from Hofstra and Adelphi. Chinese students. I told you America's planning, these oligarchs are planning on taking China's resources in America, seizing it, and Russia's too. It's all a plan. They got Chinese students seeding these, especially Hofstra Business School. All that is Chinese students. They can speak some English. When I talk to them, they say, Muhammad, you have to slow down. They have to look at my lips, and they understand what I'm saying. They're very brilliant. How they could not know English in 1 or 2 years, they can just about understand what you're saying just by looking at your lips. They have to really focus on your lips. They send the most brilliant ones. That's the brain drain from China. The CIA is training them. They're coming to Hempstead. And to make Hempstead a college town. And these Hofstra, Malloy, and Adelphi, and other business schools all across America. But Hofstra, they're heavy there. Once they train for that bachelor in business, they go back to China. What are they doing? Mainly Beijing. Some of them got a little country thing. In China, they have a tradition. I done went on another tangent again, but I'm talking business, where a youngster cannot abandon their parents. Young Chinese businessmen, sometimes you see them with their Maseratis and the luxury cars and stuff. They're the blessed oligarchs of China. They come into America to get the education, and they may stay a little while. And if they go back to China, they'll be in a business, but they may not have to stay in that business all their life. If their elders start getting old, back in the country somewhere, behind Beijing or Shanghai, those are big, major, congested cities, huge, heavily dense cities right now. But on the countryside, if their parents live there and they start aging, that person must go back and help their parents, live with them. And if they have that money, that's a blessing. They can build it up and bring about innovation and things like that too. We used to do that. We came up from the South, like I told you. My moms came up and helped out my uncle, helped out other relatives in the home. And we would take that money and send it back down south. Sister Olivia brought that up. I just managed to get that money, and they Western Instagram that. Is that the Western MoneyGram? These, those the wire services. They wire that money home. They help out their family and stuff. I know some brothers and sisters like that, especially brother that I was working with doing home renovation, and he always showed pictures of his family. He was happy for his family, sending the money back home while he's here working. And Trump put the hell of a scare in there. Trump sent ICE in here, Hempstead, and this punk ass board let ICE just come in and do what they want. They do whatever they want in this village because they're cowards, they're scared, they're puppets, they're bobbleheads. ICE come right in the bus terminal. I'd have thrown them out. They let Nassau County come in. State troopers come in as they please. You have no code, man. You have no strength. You're cowards, bobbleheads, and puppets, man. They send them back to China to help build up China into a capitalist nation. They wanted to be a capitalist nation. And once all that capital is built and they buy up America, they want to take it from them. They've been doing that for years. They've been doing it to us since we've been here, taking our land. They raise our all-black towns. Don't you know it's the same plan as doing this? They're wicked as hell. These people are just wicked as hell, man. We had over 60 all-black towns in America, and little smaller ones scattered all over America. All black successful towns. The most famous was Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Los Angeles, Rosewood. Go watch the movie Rosewood. John Singleton movie Rosewood. It shows you what happened, man. They razed all of those towns. I mean, they burnt them down. They raped us, robbed us, took all our possessions, and mainly burned them down. They bombed T-Town from the air, all under the guidance and control of the U.S. government under these planets. Sent us back to sharecropping. And once we got back into sharecropping, back to the little lands we had millions of acres after slavery. Did you know that? And we lost it all to scams, sharecropping. We would build up the harvest. At the end of the year, we're so happy we come to get our cut, come to find out we owe this cracker money. We owe them money. And a lot of our people left that. That's why we left the South. We were lured from that. Now we lost all that land through tax schemes, construction schemes. It just continued on for decades. For the last 100 years, these are thieves and pilferers, and they do it through economic hitmen. Dan Deacon is an economic hitman and a lying lawyer that will paint a pretty picture for you. Meanwhile, they're taking everything from you, leaving you a permanent underclass scattered about. But we need land back. We need as much as we can get. And we can do it. You have to take it. That's the bottom line. And our unity is the military to do it. Unity kills them. This is why they work so diligently behind the scenes to keep us divided. They are masters of divide and conquer. They come in organizations, undermine you, turn good people against other good people. They take a good person in a black organization and say that they're a stooge, a spy, an agent. And then other people in the organization condemn them. Oh, that person. It's a good person that came to help your organization. And a CIA, FBI, stooge, agent will tell you that a good person is an agent, and then you ruin that person. Run them off from you. We need solid code with each other, building in the community. That way people will be frightened to do this to us. They do it because we're so individualized. But there's a silver lining in the clouds. And what is it? Except you want to be yourself. We got to get some cultivation. We need manhood training. We need womanhood training. We need to rally in Hempstead with all these business owners in this area. All these business owners, apartment dwellers, and homeowners within this area that will be affected. And you're witnessing it. You just witnessed it at the IDA board meeting. And they don't care anything. Dan Deegan talked down to them. Oh, this dingy place. And it's a decrepit. And he spoke. And you were devitalized. That bastard's handlers devitalize you. And then they mock you. And then the board sits up there, yeah, we're going to make it better for our little clique and our little friends. Corrupt politicians, broken preachers, sellout preachers in Hempstead are all betraying you for crumbs. And the devil promises only to deceive you. I'll pull the rug right out from under you. Just like when you make a plan, Satan makes a plan, Allah put his plan right on top of their plan. And this is our plan. We got to rally together. We got to pool our resources. We got to declare Hempstead an historic black zone. We got to start declaring cultural designations. We got to start building a convention center. We got to. This is building a credit union. Get some industrialness. We have to plan this for ourselves, to create jobs for ourselves. And it's got to be cultivation. Most of us, we, in pretty good shape and stuff, and pretty cognizant, and we pretty much can handle doing for self. But some of our people, man, that's in the gutter, that's broken, that's homeless, man, have mental challenges. They need auditing. They need therapy, not this Western Sigmund Freud therapy. They need deep soul-searching therapy. We have to have this. During slavery, we didn't have anywhere we can go. After all the whippings, rapes, and tragedy and harshness that we saw, there was no place that we can go and knock on the door. It says, wow, I'm glad we made it through that. They had hell for us after they raised those towns, sent us back to sharecropping, sent us into the cities. And then we got money accumulating in the cities. They devitalized that with that's what urbanization is. It's focused on black people, keeping us nomadic, destabilizing us. displacing us. We went into the suburbs. There's a term for it. It's called block busting. Back in the 60s, when black people, one black person would show up on a block in Hempstead, all the white people would move. Within a week or so, they would be gone. It was only a few years. Hempstead went from all white to black. In the 60s and 70s, the 60s and 70s, that happened right there. It was called block busting, redlining. Planners have terms like that to devitalize your area, to lower the property values. It's called scalping. It's the trees. They watch them. The roots, they're growing on the sidewalk. When the roots from the tree expand and the sidewalk starts cracking, they say, oh, we got to save the sidewalk. They chop down the tree. That's called scalping the neighborhood. That's so you don't have oxygen. It does. Trees give you oxygen. They absorb carbon dioxide. They support wildlife. And they look good. They shade your house. They shade your lawn and protect soil. Trees are an intricate part of the ecosystem. But they want you to be cave people. That's why they're building all these apartments. Apartments don't even fit black people nature. They're for Caucasian people. From their days in the caves and hillsides of Europe. They built all those, they were nomads. Now they twisted around, made you the nomad. Made their slaves. They made a nigger and a Negro. The Caucasian had the power in his hand in the Western Hemisphere to make a man. He had that power. I can make a man. And he chose to make a nigger and a Negro and a slave. And we come up out of that. In order for you to shake it, if you come up from that, you got to get knowledge yourself. You got to get cultivated. You got to start training. That's what he made us. And then he gave you the, how do you know what it was? He gave you the slave name. That wasn't your name. Whatever your name was, it was whatever the slave master you had. If his name was James, you became James' son because you were his son. If he sold you the next day to John, you became John's son. Not because you were a John, because you were his son. And if you were a Baptist, you became a Methodist. Just like that. By a man who had the power to make and shape a man. And he chose to humiliate us. To take our humanity away. Because that represented his own cave mind. That's why he was up there in Europe. He built forts. All those forts. You can't go to Egypt and find all those forts. Pre-Caucasian. The Aboriginal black Egyptians of the Nile Valley of and the black people of India, of the Indus Valley. Both of those black power centers of civilization were cosmopolitan. They were more spread out. That's our nature. That's our nature. Agrarian. We farm and we relate to each other. And we have extended family, big, huge families, clans, and all those ceremonies. All that stuff come from Egypt, the Nile Valley. But when you go up into Europe, he was in a cave. He built forts in the city. He built cities. Because these Caucasians are xenophobic. That's fear of strangers. That's him. We don't suffer that. Now we take on his characteristics. So he built it as a defense. That's why apartments don't have anything glorious about them. The outside is just, you're lucky to get a terrace. They're modern caves. A caveman have taken us and made us into a caveman. That's a warped mind. A mindset that got to be removed from the earth. And how do you do it? Be yourself. You got to remove it from here. You got to remove it from here. What's that saying? Loving yourself is an inside job, but you need to knowledge yourself to do it, to develop the cultivation, so that you may refine ourselves. That is only done with the knowledge of self. You cannot expect Caucasian people to educate you properly. Woodrow Wilson said it. Give them an inferior education. Make them feel less. When they were building Howard University, Howard is a no-good cracker. That's a Caucasian. Howard University named after a white man. They were in the basement in Georgia of a church, a Baptist church, and they said, yeah, we're going to educate our Negroes. They probably said the other N-word, but they said these are three things we're not going to educate them in. We're not going to educate them in the knowledge of business, warfare, and mating. These three areas of life science are taboo to us. Militancy, carrying guns and stuff. It's taboo to black people. When the NRA was founded, it was for gun ownership, but not for black people. Business. We fail so much at business. We want to be laborers. We go to school. We will go get the highest degree to serve. And we get away with saying we don't serve white people because it's the system. We get to do it indirectly through the system. I got the job. Everybody clap. Go on Facebook, watch it. They ain't even got to say what the job is. Business is warfare because you don't build a business without an army to back it up. You rely on them. So you join their policing. You criminalize our poverty, made it illegal for us to be black, displaced us, raised all our black towns, robbed us during sharecropping, took millions of acres from us, migrated us into the cities, tricked, redlined us, moved us into the suburbs, gentrifying us, and you still trust this man to provide for you, to provide guidance for you. We have become laborers and consumers, and this is bad. And we become cave people, apartment dwellers. Don't fit our nature. That's why we fighting each other in there all the time. Playing loud music and arguing and cussing, fighting with each other, hanging out in the staircases. Don't fit our nature. We are more cosmopolitan people. We're more stretched out. Home ownership, your yard. You need a yard. You need a basement. You need a garage. Basement where you can start a business. Start inventing things. Start being creative. We've let them make our lives convenient for them providing jobs for us. We think that our food is going to be at the supermarket. They're malnourishing us. And all this urban new zone, all these supermarkets here, in this zone will be up to the curb, and it will be urban supermarkets. It will be urban cafe, retail, higher end retail. Once we're out, they'll let simple businesses start to get in because nobody wants to come to Hempstead. But once they in here, they got their foot in the door, they got everybody out, then the luxuries come. It will be just like the sellout Wayne Hall was bragging. He was bragging about it years ago. I want Hempstead. He don't want nothing. He don't have no mind of his own. He does the thinking of others. Don Monte. He said, I want Hempstead to be an extension of Garden City to Rockville Center. Wayne Hall said that. The only sad part is you won't be here, Wayne Hall, to enjoy your destructive collaboration with your masters. We got to pool our resources. We got to build. Mating, that's families. They said we're going to teach them. Booker T. Washington at Tuskegee Institute, he taught us industrialness with the creative, magnificent genius, George Washington Carver. He was doing great work for black farmers, supporting black farmers. All that innovation was for farmers, supporting our own. Booker T was a brilliant man. Don't you know that Thomas Edison tried to steal George Carver, Washington from Booker T? And George Washington Carver said, no, I'm going to stay with my people at Tuskegee. He wanted to help his people. Most of you would go. If Bill Gates called you, if Elon Musk called you, it would be the epitome of success to you. If no good Joe Biden called you to be a Supreme Court justice, you're so happy. That ceremonial stuff that means nothing. All those positions deplete your community value. All those positions, black billionaires, most of them leaving the community, they are failures for our community. Individually, they're successful, but this is what you want, individualism. Because we're selfish. We have been trained that way by another man who took God's people and made us into laborers and consumers. But it's wake up time, y'all. This is the wake up call. Let's build a cultivation center. Let's build a resource center. Let's protect it. You actually can't even build in Hempstead because they're devitalizing. You know how much you would have to take a loan to get a bank. They're going to give you a high interest rate. And they're going to raise your property tax. That's the whole scheme to take. They're robber barons. They're banksters. And all of this is enabled by your smiling faces of your village board, your school board, and your preachers. But we have to build. And we got to get compensation. We got to rally for this. It ain't going to come out of nowhere. This is why they keep doing this. They're doing this in our faces. They're doing this. 300 acres that they're starting with. And once they start breaking ground, you can forget it. You'll be just a visitor. You come back to Hempstead to visit. Oh, Hempstead looks so nice. You're taking pictures. You have no community value here. We got to get compensation starting at $300 million to get those homes and businesses. We have to demand this. We have to do it by numbers. You have to notify all these business owners in that downtown that you're losing your business. You're going to have to take it somewhere. You might as well take some money and invest it towards promoting, notifying everybody else. Nobody showed up for the Carmen place. I came on Facebook Live. I showed that I did a walk around. A lot of Spanish businesses and 2 homes. And we still need interpreters too to spread the message more. That you are losing everything. It will be like Harlem and then Brooklyn. Some of you come out here, but the cost of living is so high. The apartment, and that's another gimmick. They get you over building affordable housing. It's a scheme. It's subsidized housing. Why you think all across the country they have black business people, black entertainers promoting affordable housing? Dave Chappelle did a revolutionary move for us. He's a famous person, and he had a simple statement: I'm taking my assets out of this community if you build that development. They had affordable housing, and the developers, they always bribe and they hold their development hostage by key things that people need in the areas they plan on taking. That development said, if you don't let this go by, if you don't approve this development, the affordable housing was ridiculous. It was a little plot of something. I forgot the square acreage. It was some tiny little plot of that development. And the developer said, we're going to sue you. That's what they threatened in Hempstead. If you break this contract, which was stolen anyway, the MDA, the RDUA, Renaissance, Master Development Agreement for Hempstead is criminal. It was illegal. It was misrepresented. At first only 20 acres, then only 32 acres, then 279 acres, now it's 300. And they're going to take it off. The whole 3.7 square miles of Hempstead. It's 2,300 acres. 3.7 miles is 2,300 acres. And Dave Chappelle said, well, then developers are threatening a lawsuit for you for like $24 million for what they had in that contract. He said, well, consider when I take my assets from this town, it's going to be 60. You're losing 60 million. And they changed plans. We can have the plans change. And we have our own plan. We got to have an anchor in Hempstead. What's the plan? Get a convention center. Let's be a mecca of black culture. Let's have pride in ourselves. Let's build on the best part. There's so much we can do. And that's with the basics and in technology and innovation too. We can do technological, innovative things, but the basics should be like micro farming, vending, starting our own credit union, other small businesses that are nicely done, professional. Man, I just was taking down my banners. Only 3 of them survived. They ripped down 3 of my banners. So trifling children from the other 2 parties. Could have been an Asian too, I don't know. And It was late. I went to go take down my banners at night. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the morning. It's bars open in Hempstead. What is a bar doing on? What is a bar? You're drinking alcohol, you're using drugs. Some of y'all, some people use drugs in there, and all type of that time at night in a dimly lit bar with the color disco ball going and crazy music going can only bring out the worst in a human being. When you're in an illicit atmosphere like that, and that nightlife, that brings out the worst in you. No good can come out of that. That's going on in Hempstead. We have to build family-centered businesses and entertainment. And if you're doing that illicit stuff, you got to go to your house in your basement somewhere. They used to do basement parties. We used to, black teenagers in Hempstead in the 80s used to have basement parties all over Hempstead. Local DJs, the Slick Hard crew, the Chill Out crew on the Heights, and Alfred and them, and a whole bunch of crews. The Nasty Four, and over on Parkside. And we had crews all over Hempstead, and the DJ Israel over on the hills. As a matter of fact, that's the first DJ I ever seen scratching. That was my brother Israel, Israel Evans. He was scratching. Me and Vincent Norman was like, yo, what's that, man? What are you doing on the turntables? That's called scratching. And Vincent started breakdancing. That was on Angevine. And a house party. And dang, if you're doing that stuff, at least be in a home. You shouldn't have that out on the street. But we're in an open air market. We have to develop an anchor store for cultivation to bring about our best minds. Because Hempstead minds aren't congealed enough, unified enough, and don't have their strength and militancy to build up something to defend. We got to call on our most brilliant minds from around the country and around the world, our friends from around the world. These bastards do it. It's in the Russian oligarch financing the gentrification of Hempstead, devitalizing you and capitalizing off our ignorance and our individualism and our lack of unity, scattering us about. You got to bring those together. Get a convention center with a hotel, a world-class one. That's the type of investment we need. With a vendor's market and a slash farmer's market. The farmer's market would be during the spring, summer, and fall time, and in the winter time, it convert to vending only. What type of stuff we could do if we put our energy and our mind to it. We are the innovators. We are the creators. But we got to stop relying on trusting the system because the enemy hides behind the system. You know, you're not feeling well. You trust, you go to your doctor. You go to their hospitals. You're hungry. You need food. You go to their supermarkets. Your tooth hurt. You go to their dentist. Your eyes are not. You go to the doctor. You want a job. You want a life. You want to be someone in life. The most important decision you think you're making in your life is schooling. Being miseducated, you're given an inferiority complex that has you as a permanent underclass at the bottom and should be proud to be amongst the rank of this society. And you don't have to say, I'm serving white people. You should say, this is my job. A good neighborhood. A good this. And what's stuff in our neighborhood? The bad stuff. Bad neighborhood. Go watch Newsday and Channel 12, how they portray Hempstead. And go look at the racists. Some of them Nazis and Ku Klux Klanners type statements, racist tropes they throw, that come from common people. A cracker named Dan Russo was with Reginald Benjamin's church and some other black church, some Negro church. A Caucasian man, all bold in our face, came on a black business Facebook group called the Black Enterprise, I believe it was, a couple of years ago. When we were talking about building black businesses, pooling our resources, doing for ourselves, this bastard came on the group throwing racist tropes and going in our face. Oh, y'all are racist. Talking about black on this, black this, and black that. He said diversity and inclusion is the key. This bastard was with Reginald Benjamin Church. Because then he started threatening me. Oh, yeah, you call me a racist, I'll fight you when I see you. I invited him to come meet me on Main Street. And I offered him a little uh, thicket branch, not an olive branch, a thicket branch with a rose on it. Please address me when you come. I invited him to Main Street. That cracker later on had invited me to Reginald Benjamin's church. Come on, let's meet. They were behind the scenes coaching this fool. It was insane. It was bizarre. He came on a black business page, all up in the page, in everybody's business. Stop all this black business. Diversity and inclusion. Be passive. Don't say anything. This cracker was crazy. We was letting him speak too, because I said, no, let him speak, because you need to expose how they are. We need to see how these people are. It was rare to catch somebody like that. And I called him out. And he invited me to a church of a Reverend Reginald Benjamin, who's selling out this community. He invited me to that church. Naturally, I didn't go because I invited him to come see me. And he was going to see me. And we said to him, how come you're not showing up in these Jewish groups and these Greek groups, these Italian groups, these Asian business? Why you ain't going on their pages? Telling them to stop doing independent businesses, to just look out for jobs, for diversity and inclusion. Because they want you to be a consumer and a laborer, and they don't want you doing anything that will empower yourself and have your own sphere of influence. A convention center is what we need in Hempstead, as an anchor with a hotel next to it. And we need to start training our people on community value. We're going to have to boycott this public school system. It ain't no way around it. We're going to have to boycott the public school system. It has failed us. Policing have failed us. The public school have failed us. Policing of Black America, period, is a failed system. The public schooling for Black and Indigenous Latina children is a failed system. It's Eurocentric as hell. If they don't put an aspect of Black culture into it for Black people, and if they don't put an aspect of Native Indigenous culture in it for people, and if they don't put an aspect of even these immigrants and Asians and everyone, specifically for them, in the school, is failed. It's all Eurocentric. And that critical race theory is weak. It's weak. It doesn't motivate you to build community value. You have nothing there. Healthy self-image, loving yourself, your nationalism. That is key. That's the three things they said they weren't going to teach us. See, right back full circle. Don't teach them the science of business, warfare, and mating. Mating is family. That's selective breeding. For certain qualities in people, a person says, my child, I want her to marry this one. That's arranged marriages. That's extended family. That's our power. Let me look for any more questions here. I think I've gone on enough. All right, I said peace and blessings all around. We have 40 acres in a mule, but 300 acres. That's right, sister. Oh, you hitting them, Sister Olivia. Sister Olivia, you hitting them hard points, sister. That's right. Brother Todd said, teach, brother. Right on. Peace, my brother. Assalamu alaikum. That's right, brother. Peace, Aubrey. We need to press on, forming our own bank. That's right. This is Eric Etheridge. Etheridge. It says, peace, brother Aubrey. We need to press on. We're forming our own bank or lending the currency our people. This can be easily achieved. The money we invest in these Euro holidays can easily jumpstart financial freedom in our community. A Black business gathering with people and network from there. That's right. Right on, brother. That's right. Man, y'all on point here, brothers and sisters. That's what I'm talking about. My brother Muhammad Segai, am I pronouncing your last name right? Segai Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, brother. And thank y'all for the comments. Because it shows we want better, man. We want more for ourselves, and we can do it. We just got to pool our resources and protect it. But it's tricky in Hempstead. Got to be careful. They divide. They want us to put money in the business so that they can take it. This whole area. The, the, there's a domino effect in gentrification. Once they start construction, oh, let me show you here, Carmen. Once they start construction in an area, that Carmen Place, the little strip mall, that construction, it affects the businesses next to it. And those take a hit and they close. And that's how they continue taking business. They start taking properties more. And the deal is not with the renters, the leases. The deal is with the owners of the building. They've all, before they even planned this, 20 years ago, they started working with all the property owners. The silly ass boy, Wayne Hall, he should be we need to bring him forth in the community. We need a meeting in the community where we bring his ass forth and hold him accountable for giving away all those properties, even though he's a puppet. This whole board needs to be brought forth in a trial, in a hearing before this community, and show why you give away all our property. Years ago, before they planned this, they were contacting all those building owners to say, look, we'll buy you out. And they made the deal. All of them have already made the deal. It's the business owners and the homeowners who are going to lose out. They're going to lose and have to relocate. The building owners don't care. They get money. All they care about is money. This is why they cooperate with them. They don't care nothing about you. And that they are not warning any of these business owners now. None of those businesses were warned. None of them. Dan Deacon got up there and lied. Them homeowners don't know they're losing their house. They ain't going to be welcome in the new apartments, new luxury apartments. You think they welcome in? Nope. They even said it at the IDA board. We really got no plans for them. We're going to try to help them out. Keep them somewhere for a little while. Then they'll move somewhere else. They'll be displaced. They admitted that. But the businesses will not be welcome in the new retail space. And it's going to cause a domino effect once they start the construction. And it's on purpose. It's all planned. Because the people aren't expected. We believe these politicians and business owners, the building owners, have our best interests in heart. We don't think they're conniving behind the scene, gobbling up wealth, taking land. You're going to lose your business because you're not informed. If the building owners should be informing you that this is happening. But it's been secret. Excuse me. It's been a secret in Hempstead. They lied. They said it was only 20 acres. Jeffrey Daniels, a village trustee, used to throw that in your face. But there's no gentrification on empty parking lots. Nobody lives there. Then they changed it to 32 acres of just stolen parking lots. They would throw that in your face. Nobody lives there. That's not gentrification. Then we finally, the Committee to Save Hempstead and the Coalition of Concerned Citizens of Hempstead came forward with this full plan that has been ever expanding. And they just let them do it. It's unethical. It's racist. And the sad part is being implemented by a sellout Negro board who only care about their self-interest and a few of their friends. Well, we have a solution. We have to be collective. That convention center had to be collective of collectively developing our people towards home ownership, the value, community value. We're not taught that. Got to get those 3 sciences implemented in our schooling. We got to boycott the public school. Do remote. You just learn remote learning. We got to figure out a way how to subsidize and finance families. Get the men in their manhood training and gainfully employed so that you could build a family. So that you could have your wife finance. We finance the sisters to stay home and educate the children and do it like a home-based business initially, just starting out until eventually we grow and it gets so big, so let women do what they please. But the best relationship we have, what is a nurturer? Men are hunters. Women are nurturers by nature, the black man and black woman. We're the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. We are great, mighty people, the tribe of Shabazz. Did you know that? Here in America, Caucasian people, even though they were millions of original indigenous black people here in the Western Hemisphere, as the Olmecs, Ramses, I believe it's Ramses, not the third. I forgot which Ramses that was. Sent hundreds of ships over here. Mansa Musa's brother Akbar in Ghana brought hundreds of ships here. The Moors were back and forth here. This is how Europeans came. Christopher Columbus was not lost. He was a Lakanda Jew from the Cape Verde Island. That's white Europeans raping black African women on that island, making these mixed Jewish children. These were the kings, the African kings, that sold other Africans into slavery. Right on that island, Cape Verde Island. They set up a base there, a trading post. Then when they went to the coast of Africa, they set up trading posts. And then that's when they started trading us. And they tricked most of us. Most of us got on those boats, being promised gold for our labor. You get more gold here. Overseas, you get more gold overseas than you would here. That's the gimmick from immigrants now. The land of gold. Come here, is more here. It's all a trick to take from you. This is a plunderer's base here in America. Always has been. We were the original people here. And we the original people of the planet Earth. And that greatness is in us to build civilization, to help others. Caucasian nomadic caveman, conqueror, taker, a deceiver, a spreader of disease, the physical body and the mind. He diseases you with white-mindedness. Everyone that come here, go listen to immigrants. No way they talking hard R's. Well, you know how they talk. You're talking hard English, like a Caucasoid. You become Caucasoid instantly. One generation. Somebody can come from a backwoods tribe somewhere you don't know, out in the woods, out in the ocean, out in an island. You could be out in the desert. You can be somewhere where you're kind of primitive. You're not as developed, which they're better off than us anyway. In essence, their connection to the creation and nature. But you bring them to America, one generation. They talking that they sound like Candace Owens, talking them hard R's, and got that Caucasoid in them. That's what that is. American lifestyle. American dream is our nightmare. But our vision and our blessing in paradise is built in that convention center. Credit union, just to start, until his banks, like your brother said. Get those banks instead of the holidays, spending, boycott the holidays. Put that money towards pooling, get away from all these damn ceremonies. We do too much ceremonies. We love it. We love symbolic people doing things on they're just figureheads. We love that. That makes us feel good about being a devitalized people, a nomadic people, a permanent underclass. Once we get that convention center, once we start training, we build up the credit union into a bank, produce our own digital currency to trade with each other, empower ourselves. I'm telling them what we can do. All our innovation. You have to be innovation. It's you, it's us. Don't you know most brothers get innovative and clear thinking when they go to jail, when they're locked in the cell? Oh, those thoughts come to us. We get creative. We trying to think how to escape, how to get out of there. We become law. We go to the law library, some of us. We study the law like never before when you're getting out of a jam, when you're under pressure. But we can build our people up to be innovators, to be creative. We just are so reliant on being a laborer and a consumer. We love it. We love that position. Laborer and a consumer. We want to retire laborer. And then when we retire, we go on vacation. Meanwhile, our communities are suffering. We must do it. There is no other time. Now is the time. And we are the people to do it. And we got to call on our most brilliant minds. Start building monuments in Hempstead, naming goddamn streets. Build a monument. Build a convention center. Put a big statue of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad out front, man. Like Marcus Garvey, like our brother Umar Johnson, building a Marcus Garvey School. Our brother Tariq Nasheed got the money for a museum like that. And gentrifying the area he was trying to get it in, and they denied him. That's how they are. It's the same planet. They plan against us all over the country because you're black, and they fear our rise. We need things like Tariq need to bring that museum here. Brother Umar need to bring the school here. If we could be brave enough and bold enough to take our community, to take control, to provide things like that. Imagine that. Come on into Hempstead, have all these incentives. Don't you know that they're getting ready to gentrify Atlanta? And if you're leaving to Atlanta, lower cost of living. They slowly been notching it up. They're going to start gentrifying that. And most of gentrification, Black America, listen to me. This is the message to Black America. Most gentrification, most devitalization is done under the cover of affordable housing. It is not affordable. Come on to Hempstead. You have a $400,000 house. You want to be a landlord. You're not getting a tax break. You're not getting a poly. You cut your house into a 2-family house. The first thing you want to be a landlord. You want to save on the property taxes. The first thing they're going to do is raise your property taxes by $10,000 in Hempstead for doing that. Or if you're a new homeowner, who are the new homeowners? Us, black people leaving the city, coming to Hempstead. They're tricked. They're duped. I'm meeting these people. They don't know what's going on. They get that sticker shock. $10,000 increase in property taxes. I was talking to a brother. The IRS audited him because they couldn't believe he was paying so much in property taxes. I said, damn, that's a hell of an experience. That brother said, man, the IRS, he couldn't believe me. He had to send him the papers. I said, yeah, welcome to Hempstead, brother. He's right over there on the hill. You buy your house, you looking to ease you, they're taking your house. They want you happy with nothing. And until we take it, and we got to have the spirit of take, educate our babies at home. We got to finance the women to educate the babies through remote learning. We need master classes on cultivation, refinement, innovation, creativity, civics, life sciences. We can do it. It's simple a matter of doing. And we'll be successful, brothers and sisters. I'm going to look at a few more questions and sign out. Geez, it's 9:48. Well, it's a good chat here. And y'all hit some spectacular points here. Peace and love to everybody. Especially like Sister Olivia Smiley's question. She said we used to have 40 acres in a mule, but 300 acres, that's right. They owe us. They owe us the whole country if you add it up. And I appreciate everybody tuning in for my live. And also, I'll be starting a podcast. I did one part already with Brother Mathematics and Brother Randy. And I'll try to get both of them back also to do part 2 of that called Civics in Hempstead. About what I'm talking about, civics. We need to learn this. This is happening to us. We're losing everything. About us getting civics in the community and in the school, learning it in the school and teaching it to ourselves. And in the podcast, I'll be on YouTube. And as I'm on YouTube, go on my YouTube channel, subscribe to Riosphere. You'll see some of my videos on my Facebook page. It'll be my YouTube channel called Riosphere. Subscribe, like, and comment on my videos. Starting next week, I'll have the podcast. And as I do that podcast, I need more subscribers. You got to subscribe, hit the like, and any comment. Just peace, brother, what's up? Hey, with the comment. And I'll be giving out like a $25 gift card, and I'll increase that by the week. Try to get that up and going. And I'll give you a personally signed cookbook. The cookbook I publish, I'll give you a personal copy of that. I have personally signed. It will be tied into my NFT. All my cooking material or my campaign material, stuff like that. Other things I do, things I sell on eBay and stuff like that. All that will be NFT. A lot of my graphic arts and other things I do, I'm making those NFTs. And that personal signed cookbook I have that says NFT in it, it will be tied into it, like 10%, something like that. You won't get 10% of the NFT, but that pool of cookbooks that I signed will be in a pool of 10% of the total value of the NFT of the Muslim Cooking with Muhammad. That's a treat. That could turn into anything. Who knows? Allah does. And brothers and sisters, please subscribe to that Radiosphere YouTube channel. And that wraps up what I had to say. And please look forward to other IDA board meetings. I will be announcing them. And we got to contact the people, let them know that we got to take charge of our community. Take charge. Take charge. We got to take it. It can't take a village until we take the village. Family, thank you for tuning in. I leave you as I greeted you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. Peace unto you.